Hi, Musa here from Quantum Home Improvements and Solutions. Welcome to the channel. Today, I'd like to show you how easy it is to install a Nylex auto reel retractable hose system. And also, give you the reasons why I chose that particular product over a standard hose. Let's go. Just recently, we had a footpath concreted around the back of the house. And even though it's the winter months, we wanted to get the seeds growing before summer. So I went to the hose, and just like every hose around the house, it had a huge crack in it. The hose itself is only around 2 or 3 years old, and it's a 12 mil by 25 meter hose, which cost me about $35. And you'd think if you paid that kind of money, you'd get a better hose. But then I reflected on all the hoses I bought over the years, and none of them usually would last more than 2 to 3 years. And so going against my nature and my better judgment, I went to Bunnings and bought 3 cheap hoses, and they're under $10 each. But in less than a year, they deteriorated, and they had cracks in them, multiple cracks. They obviously were not UV stable. A hose that only lasts 1, 2 or 3 years is really not good value. So 6 months ago, I finally decided to install a retractable hose system, and I chose Nylex. I chose Nylex because they've got a good reputation, and a friend of mine has had a similar system for 5 years and it still looks brand new. Now, the thing I love the most about this system is that it can swivel, and so it can go any direction you want it to go, but also when you're finished, it is out of the way, so it's not in the way of the footpath or walkway, and it's not a trip hazard either. But the most important thing for me is that most of the time it doesn't get harmful UV rays on it because it's retracted back in. And so it means it's going to last a long time. So come with me now and I'll take you step by step on how to install this system. Okay, so I've opened the box, and in the box you'll see there's a manual and just telling you what parts you've got here. So this is the retractable hose system already assembled with the hose, and you get the watering wand, which comes part of the system, but then you get a spray gun, okay, and it's got different settings on the spray gun, and so has the wand. You get your screws and your plugs, and you also get your wall mount. Now the wall mount itself is universal. You can put it either way, which is great. I will measure out 900 millimeters, so it's basically going to sit just here. Okay, now also I'm going to be drilling and fixing to mortar. Now it's not recommended to do that when you've got something that's load bearing. Now, living with the other system and giving it a bit of a sort of a hard time because you do put a bit of pressure on the retractable hose, it has not moved. So it has 4 screws in it, and those screws go in a fair distance. So I'm happy to drill into the mortar. The reason I'm doing that, because in the future if I have to change the system, I don't want holes in the brick and make more holes. You've got to be conscious of that. You don't want to make too many holes in the brickwork that is permanent. Mortar can always be filled back up. So first you just mark it out, 2, 3, 4, and to the center of our mark, which is roughly there. And you do it as straight as you possibly can. You can put a level on this, but I can see by the brickwork here how level or how straight that is. So after marking the holes, I then use a 10 mil drill bit, masonry drill bit. And this is a fairly old drill bit, but it's just going into mortar, so it's not going to need much pressure. And also you need to have it undersize of the plug, just marginally, so when you tap it in, it squeezes in pretty tight, and then the screw will hold well. So now the easy part is just to hammer in the 4 plugs Now, because we're going into mortar, you do need to push those plugs in further than what they currently are going in. So I'll probably just tap them in with a big screwdriver, just to put them in a bit further. They do need to go all the way in. Now we put a washer, which is supplied, first onto the screw, and then we just screw it in. Now whenever you drill through any kind of masonry, you'll find that the drill bit will slip, and so your holes won't always line up perfectly. I've never ever had it line up bit perfect, unless you would use a device to hold it still. So it's best to probably put the screws in first as far as you can. I do have a 10mm ring spanner here to help me get that in a bit further so that it doesn't fall out while I'm placing them in. But I put them all in first so I can jiggle it around. So it's a bit tedious using this ring spanner, but you'll find that these plugs are really going to hold really well. They've thought this through. Nylex have really thought it through quite well, actually, I think. So usually when you buy something, you've got to use a different type of anchoring system, because they usually just put a cheap version in, but these are really good. Now that's pulling in really tight now. As I said, it won't be going anywhere. Okay, there you have it. It's not going to go anywhere. As I said, I've lived with the other one for 6 months and it's pretty strong. Now just because I put this in mortar, please do not think you can put other things into mortar. Some things take a lot of weight. It's always recommended, if you've got something that's structural, that takes a lot of push on it, that you screw it into the brick itself. Okay, so now is the easy part. So what you do is you pull this pin out of the back. As I said, this is quite a simple system and I'm quite happy with it. So then you carry this through and then drop the pin back down. So basically that is it in its form. Now this should be long enough, 900mm will be long enough to fit in the old fitting. So just here, it's so simple. It retracts back very easily. So you can hear that clicking noise. So that will hold now. That hose will not retract back. The only way it'll retract back when you pull a bit of pressure on it and let it go in by itself without having any resistance to it. Now it has this ball on here. This is a great idea. If this in the future, this section here that's going to be exposed to the sun deteriorates, all you do is unscrew from the inner part of the ball. It's only 2 screws. You pull it back further and you start a new section. And so only this section will be exposed to the sun on a permanent basis. It's a great system. So with this retractable system, it has a wheel inside, and as it retracts back, it pulls back and forth, or left to right, and it rolls it evenly on the spool. That's it for this particular product. It's very easy to install, and it will last a long time. I thought while I was installing the retractable hose system, I'll also install this gardenia wall hose bracket. So we're in a fire area and we need a fire hose, and this hose is 20mm thick and it's quite long, and it was always in our way. It was a trip hazard. So finally we've got it out of the way. Now the actual bracket itself is plastic, which I'm not a big fan of, but it looks quite sturdy and it has a 5-year guarantee on it. But the thing I love the most about this is that it has 5 slots here, and you can hang your hose fittings on there. Very convenient. So that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. There's many more videos coming. I'll ask you please if you'd consider subscribing to this channel and hitting the like button. Thanks guys, I'll see you soon.